Shall we begin?
Welcome to the Happy MonsterCast. I'm your host, Scott Marchand Davis of Happy Monster Press.
Let's begin now.
This week on the Happy MonsterCast, the Legion of Liberty took ship for Ireland in hopes of starting a revolt. Previously on the Happy MonsterCast, the Continental Army has formed the Legion of Liberty, a unit of superhumans fighting for freedom from the British Crown. Elijah Allen, Master of Mind Control. Artemis Crow, Invisible Assassin. Petanoat, the Wampanoag Swamp Monster. Clara Washington, Super Soldier. And Victoria Spellman, the Human Cannon. Having discovered the possibility of an ambush in Ireland, the Legion makes new plans to draw British attention to that restive island. All right, so let's recap here. You have been sent to Ireland in the hopes of causing the British some trouble that will keep them occupied in Ireland when they, rather than sending more troops to the colonies. This is part of a broader effort to kind of open up a European theater to the war. You know that Ben Franklin of Philadelphia is in Paris trying to convince the French monarch to enter the war by colonies. And that would potentially broaden the theater of war to the Caribbean as well, where the French have long coveted the sugar islands that the British currently hold, as well as perhaps even reclaiming French Canada. So the stakes are high, and anything that distracts the British and takes troops away from the colonies is a win. So you've been given a name, one Henry Grattan, and he's apparently pushing for Irish home rule, although he's not a radical and is not in any way pushing for Irish independence. You think that he could be a spark, or rather Washington thinks that he could be a spark, that could cause the British a headache in Ireland that would require them to send more troops. So you've arrived in Dublin. You've sought out Grattan at his home, fortunately invisibly on the part of Artemis. And as you approached his home, you noticed that your old friend Cowita, attempted assassin of George Washington, among other things, seems to be staking out the house. And Cowita, you know, is not a member of the Royal Superhuman Regiment, aka the Greycoats, but appears to be rather a member of something called the Order of the Seventh Circle, which is dedicated to British supremacy. So
I know that the party split up. I think Petanoat and I are hanging out at the inn.
Yes.
Everybody else left? Okay.
Well, no, everybody's at the inn except for Artemis. Artemis went out to scout invisibly.
Okay.
And now has returned to the inn with the news that you have some superpowered opposition in town.
So I've come back to report all this?
Yes.
Okay.
So what is your next move?
Oh, you
Sort
do
of
want to
feel like we
engage?
should go check. Yeah.
Yeah, do you wanna
Well,
engage
maybe
with-
not publicly, right?
Oh, definitely not publicly. Yeah.
The last time we
We should-
engaged with these supers, they were clearly part of the British command structure. I mean, they were not freelancing. And so I think it's pretty safe to assume that they're doing the same this time, right? Which means that the Brits are very much aware of what we might be trying to do as far as stimulate some kind of an uprising here.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Lure these supers out of the way and then go in and talk to this person Henry Grattan, once they are off
Yeah,
someplace.
we already like tried to we already scoped the area, right, and already talked to everybody and exhausted our options verbally at this point, right? Or we still have something to do here.
Well, you haven't actually talked to the guy you were sent to talk to yet.
That's right. We did everything else first. He was going to be one of the last people we talked to. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you're trying to get a feel for whether the mission had a chance of success, and also you proceeded with some caution, trying to be covert, which was probably a good plan because most likely you would have been ambushed on the way there if you hadn't taken pains to be covert. Kawita certainly knows what you all look like. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. No, she does, because she was at the Iroquois negotiation. So she didn't know what all of you looked like until that negotiation, because not all of you went to the dinner with Washington where he almost got killed.
That's true.
Yeah, Artemis and Clara set that one out. In Clara's case, because of her objection to Washington's slaveholding, and in Artemis's case, because he wanted to spend more time drinking.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
There are worse reasons.
So you know, I was thinking about the our mission here to kind of stimulate an Irish uprising, and the fact that it doesn't seem very organized, and it seems like it would take, quite a spark to set a fire off here, right? I mean, given the proximity of the British and their ability to quash uprisings and so on. So let me toss this out to you guys. Let me tell me what you think. So let's say that we attack one of the British installations enough to stimulate them to attack the Irish, so that they do some kind of big retribution thing in the Irish. Would that be enough to really be a thorn in the eye of the Irish? To make yeah, almost like sort of a false flag type thing.
So you would be attacking the Irish as who?
No. We would be attacking the British.
You'd be attacking the British as colonials, or as who?
No,
because
as we would be attacking the British as Irish. So that the British would then retaliate against the Irish, and the Irish would get so mad at that they would then rise up.
So the catch with that, and that is a viable plan other than this one catch, is that, as you know, which is always my code for expedition, superhumans are only born in the Western Hemisphere. So there are no native Irish superhumans. So if you were to do this attack, one, Pet Noah would kind of stand out. And more importantly, two, you could not use your superpowers, or you would clearly not be Irish.
I mean, we could just not use our superpowers or be really discreet about.
Yeah, I mean, some of you have subtler powers than others. Victoria is not subtle.
No,
Pet Noah to put some clothes on, then we could probably, go on with this.
I could get away with it.
Subtle. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can put whatever you want on the status. They're going to know who I am.
Victoria just needs to not blow things up. We'll be okay.
Yeah, and once I yeah. So, what do you think? Is this a reasonable thing to do?
We could. I mean,
Sounds
we
good to me.
could also start an international incident if we're caught, or if it's traced back to the colonies.
I mean, you are at war with Britain, so
yeah.
British installations anywhere in the world are technically legitimate targets. The colonies haven't had
masquerading as Irish.
How much would we alienate the Irish if there's potential for blowback on that?
Well, there is.
So it could go two ways. Either they're like, "Wow, what a great idea," right? Or they're like, "Wow, what assholes they're trying to drag us into this war that we have not chosen."
I would say if we get away with it, then it works, and we're not discovered and we're not revealed as being Americans. Okay, and then the plan goes off without a hitch. If we are discovered and captured, well, then our cover is blown, and then we might as well start using our powers at that point. and then we can say, "Oh, well, we're just Americans," and whatever.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
We save it for last resort. Yeah, exactly.
Did we already ask around and see if there were any what is the biggest pressure point right now?
It's mostly absentee landlords. That's one of the big issues.
Okay.
Just a note for clarity: there were not a ton of Irish in the Americas at this time. There were some, but certainly not. The big Irish emigration was later, as Brendan well knows, the potato famine. But
All those starving potatoes.
There were a ton of Irish in the British Army. In fact, in the Napoleonic Wars, it was estimated that as much as a third of the infantry were Irish, which is way bigger than the population proportion between Ireland and England.
Huge.
3 square meals and a tot of rum had a lot of appeal, and some of the Irish units were even considered, at least to some extent, elites, like the Connaught Rangers, which were well known for being difficult to command, but very, very dangerous. Kind of a little bit getting into a little bit in the berserker tradition. Yeah, you didn't want to irritate them no matter which side you were on.
Well, okay, so here's a modification of the plan then. If the big pressure point is the absentee landlords, the Irish aristocracy, who was like just rent holders, they were just extracting rent. What if we make a plan to say burn down a few manor houses and then make sure everybody knows that this is an uprising against these absentee landlords, and then we can convince the Irish to do the same on their own, to burn out these absentee landlords?
Worth a try.
Would that be enough to trigger a response from the British to do this? To upset the whole apple cart?
Certainly, burning manor houses is going to provoke a response from the British. Whether that response will be enough to light the fire of rebellion in Ireland is another question entirely. But it's certainly going to provoke a British response. It might cause some level of uprising. It certainly is going to increase the level of discontent, and at a minimum, it's going to worry the Privy Council such that they might divert troops there just because they're worried about a rebellion, whether or not there really is one.
How big are the Irish? Okay, so in the colonies, there was a healthy press. A lot of people got their information from the Daily News, from things like that.
Yes.
I'm thinking a 2-pronged attack here. What if we ginned up a controversy about Irish people about absentee landlords forcibly evicting people from the next county over?
Certainly a possibility. Yeah.
Some propaganda out there.
And it could
how much time do we have?
Over.
We would have to find a printer. Well, I mean, I'm sure it could be done with a little bit of coin.
There absolutely
are.
A
lot of what happens in Ireland is oral tradition too. So if we go around and start spreading these rumors, there's a big tradition of news spreading in Ireland, especially at this time.
Anybody here familiar with how the word quiz was invented?
Quiz?
Does it have something to do with quizzling?
So the apocryphal rumor is 2 Irishmen in a bar had a bet. One bet the other one that he couldn't invent an entirely new word in 24 hours. The other Irishman took the bet and, in the dead of night, created a word and just wrote it all over town. On every signpost, on every billboard, on every house. And the next day, everybody saw this new word that they had never seen before, and it was the talk of the town.
Okay, so you guys did some networking last time, and you are familiar with at least one. You ran across at least one paper in town, the Dublin Evening Post. And the Dublin Evening Post is very much a Whig publication, meaning that they are not really pro Crown that much. They are at least somewhat pro liberty, and they're a little bit controversial. They've been sued a few times. So, they might be open to, publishing a story about absentee landlords if you were able to convince them that you had good information to share.
Okay, here's an idea. How about we go to them with coin in hand, of course, and we get them to run an editorial crying these rumors that they've heard planning to be landlords all across Ireland. They just run a series of stories saying they think this will inflame things and the Irish are better than this. And no, we don't like the British, but we draw the line at this kind of violence and we really don't want to see any of this kind of thing spread all across Ireland, destroying these manor houses. And then we go burn a couple of manor houses. And this makes the British think that this is going to happen all over the place.
Worth a try.
Yeah, we definitely should attack this from both angles, for sure.
Yeah,
and we graffiti, death to, not death to absentee landlords, but something equivalent. British out.
Irish land for Irish men.
Where the Brits would see it.
Right. Irish land for the Irish people, and then we burn a couple of houses. So we do a psyops and an actual terrorist off.
Okay, worth a try. So you need to track down John McGee here, which is not hard. I mean, he has an office. So who's going to talk to him?
Type
go
of man
for it,
is...
Artemis.
Yeah, go for it.
I will.
Wait, who's the most persuasive of us?
I think me and Artemis are tied with our persuasiveness. So,
well, that depends. If depends on whether Elijah deploys his rather subtle superpower.
It's true.
I was going to say maybe Elijah should do the talking.
I'll go at the very least with you. We can go together.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, actually, Elijah's subtle superpower may very well help with the psyops campaign with a correctly puppeted person in the right pubs.
Yeah, sure. That sounds more actually what I need to be doing.
Just a note, though, puppeted people are not mind wiped, so they do know they've been puppeted. If you want to be able to mind wipe them, that's a different power.
True.
Well, boy. Worth a try.
I would say if you're going to be doing this in the pubs, you'd be better off just buying rounds of drinks and planting rumors.
Yeah, that seems more dependable because I could try to stealth puppet them, but I don't know how that would go.
I mean, you absolutely could stealth puppet them, but they're going to remember when
they were puppeted.
That they were puppeted and did something that they wasn't necessarily voluntary.
I mean, they could be drunk, though, right? And who's going to believe what they think when they're drunk or what they say when they're drunk?
That is also a possibility, yes.
So I could probably do it, but it's not the most dependable plan to go with. You guys think I needed more to go talk to the guy? I don't know.
We need to find the oldest town drunk and feed him a steady diet of Fox News propaganda. And enough money to buy people drinks.
And whiskey.
Well, I think whiskey goes without saying, right?
Yes, of course.
All right. I think I'll stick with the pub plan as well. I'll assist there.
So you're gonna spread the rumors in the pub, which you certainly could do that subtly if you chose to.
Yeah. Gonna try to do this as incognito as possible.
So let me see if I understand the plan here. So you're going to seek out this. You're going to plant the rumors and then seek out this publishing guy. Is that the
I
plan?
think we're going to do it kind of simultaneously, right?
I was thinking at the same
we're
time.
We're going to split the group.
Yeah.
Okay, so Artemis and Elijah are going to be team editor, and team pub is everybody else. Is that what I'm getting here?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
Until we get to mayhem, then I'm team mayhem.
Definitely mayhem.
Well, yeah, that I think that also goes without saying.
Also goes without saying.
Yeah.
Everyone stay incognito in the meantime.
Okay, so then let's start with Team Pub. What I'm going to need from you guys are performance roles. Which might be an occasion for boost trait, so you actually have a performance skill.
Oh man. Okay, so I don't have performance, so that would just be unskilled, right?
Yeah, but if you boosted it, then you could boost it up to at least a D4 or maybe a D6 with a raise.
Wow, that was decent.
Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a. Why are you wounded? You shouldn't be wounded.
All right.
So let's fix that, but it didn't matter for this purpose. You now have a D6 persuasion or a D6 performance.
Oh, well, I just rolled it.
Yeah. So let me just look at your sheet here we can probably come up with a proxy skill. Yeah, roll notice instead. We'll treat that as a proxy for your temporary D6 performance. Okay, so you put on a pretty creditable show, talking about the eviction of your Irish friends. Obviously, you can't really pass for Irish, but
man.
But yeah, it's pretty convincing. You sold it pretty well. So you have planted. You've at least planted a seed here.
Nice.
Okay, so meanwhile, Artemis and Elijah are going to the publisher's office. So how are you going to broach this with the publisher?
Well, I think we're going to say, hey, we've come into possession of some information that, we find pretty troubling, and we'd like to have your assistance in dealing with this, or in making this information known as kind of as a public service.
Very well. I'm listening.
Okay, so you're a Whig paper, which means that you see more clearly than many do some of the issues related to the British, and some of the ways that things can be improved. We're of a similar mind, and we have our issues, but we want to draw the line at violence. I mean, I don't think it serves anybody's purposes to do what's being proposed here, and innocent lives could be lost. And I think it's just it's a shame that this is going to be happening, and it really shouldn't happen. And I really hope that we can work together to try to avoid the bloodshed.
So what bloodshed are you talking about then?
Well, we've come into possession of some information that there are plots afoot, that there are anarchists and separatists and Republicans who are going to, respond to the absentee landlords, and they're going to start burning the landlords out. They're going to go all across Ireland. There's an uprising type situation they're trying to foment to burn out the landlords. Secret, enclaves of supporters in towns all up and down the island that are going to rise up against these absentee landlords and burn out their manor houses. And what we would request or suggest is that maybe you could run a denunciation of this to try to prevent it from happening.
Well, as you say, I'm no great fan of the crown, but I'm no Republican either. And what you're talking about would be tremendously dangerous, not simply to the British, but to all of Ireland as well. I take by your speech, however, that you hail from the colonies.
I do, but there's so much trouble over there right now. It's best for us just to be absent from the environs. We're here in Ireland for a while, then we're going to be in England, then we're going to be doing other trading opportunities over in Brittany.
So traders then, blockade runners, I assume.
Assumptions can be dangerous and inaccurate. I'll say neither yay nor nay.
God, can I mind read this guy?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Ooh. All right, what am I getting?
You're getting quite a lot. So he's suspicious. He thinks you might be colonial agents. And so he's concerned that he might be lending his good name and his paper's good name to some outright propaganda.
I'll back up his story. I'll say, "Come on, man! I've seen what he's talking about. This is what's going to happen. You don't like the British any more than we do. Let us help you."
Well, I won't. I would suggest, sir, that I like them slightly more than you, in that I am not in open revolt against them.
I'll let that go. Okay, we're not asking you to do anything other than to speak out as a voice of restraint, as a voice of reason, as a voice of sort of civic responsibility, to encourage cooler heads as discussions and negotiations and even arguments go forth. I mean, arguments for a position, yes, but outright bloodshed and harming of innocence, no. I should think that such an effort to speak out against such a thing would not cause a problem from your perspective.
All right, give me a persuasion roll.
I might
Would you like to Benny that?
Benny it.
I like
That's better.
That's better.
Oh, yeah.
He says, if I were to write such an article, exactly who would I be citing as my source?
Friends of the Irish, Friends of Ireland, who are interested in nothing more than the rights of the Irish to exist within the laws of the land peaceably.
Friends of the Irish. And that's who you are. And that's who you are, I assume. Friends of the Irish.
course.
Very well. If not else, this ought to embarrass the Privy Council, and that's always worth the price of ink. So he agrees to publish it.
Nice.
Cool.
That, in turn,
So,
leads... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so once this comes out, then this goes, will feed the pub crawling to say, oh, did you hear this about these rumors of the things being burnt down and the landlords? Oh, it's high time something was done about them. Yeah, but I've heard these rumors too. You've heard them too, haven't you? Oh, you're a well-connected man like you. Surely you've heard these rumors.
Yep, it absolutely will work that way. So you spend some time on this, and you do achieve some significant spread of rumors. So now what?
Well, now my plan, my thought is, and tell me what you think, guys. I go invisible.
Let's burn some stuff down. Yeah.
Sneak up to some manor house, and if we can do several of them on the same night, and then spread rumors to say this was the first, and the next set of manor houses will be burned down in 10 days' time, to really fan these flames.
What are we, the Zodiac or something? Like, announce this. Oh, how suspicious.
Well, right. So we strike, and then we give enough time. We give enough time for the British to really freak out and come over, and then we hit them again. And then the idea is to trigger a disproportionate response, which the Irish will then respond to in turn.
So basically, you're going the ninja approach. You'll strike hard and fade into the night.
Yes, incognito.
We'd better not get caught.
I have a concern.
Yes.
Put a robe on. You'll be fine.
Well, right, but a lot of these manor houses have mills on streams, right? And they have, like on the Shannon and so on. So, right, being underwater, you could tear apart the mills and set them on fire too.
I'm looking around at our Irish compatriots, and I fear that the disproportionate response is going to fall heavily upon their head.
Yeah, you would certainly be more than familiar with disproportionate response.
I fear that there are a lot of women and children that may be affected by this disproportionate response.
The
I can understand
plan is that this is going to be, yeah.
If we fail, definitely. But we're trying to liberate this place, right?
Not.
But if
technically, all you're trying to do is distract the British.
Yeah, but we're making it seem
we
like
can
we're
rationalize it
place.
however we want, frankly.
Yes, you certainly can rationalize it however you want.
Well, I think we are certainly going to be causing the Irish some harm in the response that the British are going to give them, right?
I don't want to become the British while trying to fight the British.
Ultimately, what I think is going to happen, or what I want to happen, is that if the British are over here occupied with the Irish, then that gives us the chance to become a strong nation, and then we can then in turn come over and help with the Irish.
I understand that in the long term.
Yeah.
But that is not going to stop some poor family from being burned out.
I mean, the fact of the matter, though, is that it's not like the Irish are shiny, happy citizens of England. It's not as if they're being well treated. It's not as if they have similar kinds of rights of self-actualization.
They are certainly not being well treated. That is a true statement.
So it's not like we're taking a situation where the Irish people are happy under the rule of the British, and suddenly they're going to be, tormented in some way.
Right. That is definitely
this may be a way for them to better their situation, to realize and understand that there is a way to fight back and gain the rights that we hope to win.
It would be a goad. I mean, the painful pinprick to get you moving. I mean, there is some pain associated with that. So it's not there's no cost to doing this.
Also wonder if we haven't already done this type of thing before. Other places. I don't see that much of a difference here, I suppose. We probably had a ripple effect in the other things that we've done.
It's certainly possible.
I mean, we certainly convinced Europe. Yeah.
All right. Well, you, regardless of the ethical implications, you have spread the rumors. Now the question is, do you follow through with the burning of the manor houses?
Well, they're empty, right?
Let's go. Well, no, they're not. They have caretakers and people who maintain the houses.
Right.
They're not, they don't generally have the actual landlords in them, but there are definitely country manor houses that are maintained for the occasional hunting season or similar.
Right. So we'll drop a hint and burn it down. I'm okay with that.
And how about this? I mean, part of what we're trying to do is just scare the British, right? We're trying to go with that. But we could go in and burn down the parts of the houses that are not occupied. I mean, just saying that one wing of the manor house was burnt would be enough to trigger panic among the Brits, these absentee landlords, especially if we do that to multiple houses. We could do that without hurting anybody.
Yeah, maybe just make them small, semi-controlled fires, if we can.
How good is Victoria?
I can try.
You burn parts of a house down, but not the entire house.
Well, the catch, of course, is that
using powers.
I was going to say, aren't we on no powers?
Well,
yeah. Let's
setting up
look like an explosion.
A fire is a fire.
A fire is a fire, but at the same time, controlling a fire is not in any of your powers. So once you set it, it's going to do what it's going to do.
Quite right.
Such exciting possibilities.
Gotta find, if we can, just a unique house that we could control, like the spread, I suppose.
Well, what if we were to
make
burn
it a house that's not connected?
Burn a barn or burn an outbuilding. I mean, from the way the rumors would spread, the tale would be told that we burned the manor house, even if it was just burned down one of the barns.
That's certainly feasible.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's not overdue. We don't have to try to burn a block down, but something isolated.
Right. So there's property damage and things like that, but almost certainly no loss of lives.
Yep, that is a feasible approach, and that you can pretty much just do.
Okay.
So you do that, and
go ahead.
And there is, in fact, a significant pushback. The Irish, the Privy Council is fearing some pushback from Ireland, and so they are. They basically are saying, "Hey, we're going to have to send more troops to Ireland and reinforce." It doesn't necessarily draw troops away from Britain, but it absolutely does prevent them from being sent to the colonies. And if the French come into the war, then that will be so much the better.
We have not spoken to Mr. Grattan at all, have we?
No, you haven't.
No, not yet.
But that's okay. You pretty much accomplished your mission without talking to him.
Wow.
Okay. We need to get out of here, though.
Yes, well, you have that contact in the pub.
Right.
And so
Let's get home.
when you reach out to that contact, well, that's not the plan. So they are. So you have a sealed message from Washington waiting for you there.
Oh, man.
What have you done?
Great. Congratulations on a job well done.
Well, he has no.
Surely.
The speed of transmission isn't that fast.
That's right.
And so he says, "Trust, you have succeeded in your mission to distract the British in Ireland. We have also identified an opportunity to distract them in their home turf. Lord George
Oh, boy.
Lord George Gordon of the Protestant Association fears that Britain is slipping into absolute monarchy, and that King George will become a mad tyrant. He has an organized movement and is planning a series of protests that might lead to a rebellion in England. We request that you make contact with Gordon at his lodgings in Holborn."
Tiger, we just came from a rebellion.
Well, apparently Washington wants you to start another one.
Okay. It's going to be a little bit harder for us to pass to go through in Holborn, but okay.
Well, so you can take ship across to Bristol and a carriage from there to London, and that is where we'll pick it up next time. But I'm going to throw an advance in for everybody as well.
Okay.
Hey.
You can follow Happy Monster Press on Facebook as Happy Monster Press, at our website, happymonsterpress.com, Twitter as Happy Monster PRS, or follow the podcast on YouTube, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, iTunes, or Google Play Music. The Happy MonsterCast is part of the Savage Worlds Media Network. This game references the Savage Worlds game system available from Pinnacle Entertainment Group at www.peginc.com. It is unofficial media content permitted under the Media Network Content Agreement. This content is not managed, approved, or endorsed by Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Certain portions of the materials used are the intellectual property of Pinnacle and all rights are reserved. Savage Worlds, all related settings and unique characters, locations, and characters' logos and trademarks are copyrights of Pinnacle Entertainment Group. All other content is the intellectual property of Happy Monster Press. Background music is Ice Cold by Jason Shaw.
Oh, for sure.